your future is in the hand of a mighty God.
Hallelujah. Well, it's always a blessing to have Dr. Lanka with us as we get so many uh, advices, if I may put, is that the right word?
Uh,
At
yeah, well,
English
we can
uh,
suggestions,
suggestions, yeah,
advice,
advice
and
that we need on a
coping
daily
mechanism.
basis. Yeah, coping. Yeah, we can use that
Yeah,
as well. Coping mechanism,
mm,
especially when it comes to families.
absolutely,
What are we talking about? What are
absolutely.
we looking at today?
Malungi, we want to continue on what we started off last week. We're talking domestic violence.
Mm,
We have come, I know there's a great big focus on gender based violence,
yes.
but, we want to look at the broader aspect of violence. Violence of
Mm,
any form must be
mm,
categorically refuted and not accepted in any way. We must, stand against it in whatever forms it may present itself. And it can present in so many different forms. It does not necessarily
mm.
mean that it is, when someone puts you in a hospital,
Right,
then it is
right.
domestic violence. So just a quick definition, the CDC defines domestic violence as physical violence, sexual violence, stalking, and psychological
Mm.
aggression, including coercive acts by a current or former intimate partner. Family and
What
domestic
we call
violence,
GBV in South Africa.
not just GBV, it's
Right,
domestic violence, but GBV is part of violence that
right, right,
can
right.
fall under that, because
Yes.
you find that, I know some people like to make a big deal about this, and they say that, hey, listen, women are not the only ones that are getting abused, uh,
Men as well.
men as well, which we agree with. However, we should not make it a bit of a Roman circus.
Mm.
And a Roman circus is a diversion from or a distraction from where the real issues lie. And the reality of it is that majority of the domestic violence
Right.
happens against women and
And
children.
children in South
So
Africa, to be
in
precise.
South Africa.
Mm,
And
mm,
so,
mm,
I don't want to start giving stats and all of that and take up too much of time. You
mm,
can very well Google
mm,
it for yourself. But the reality of it is that women and children are the biggest victims of violence.
mm.
And one should then not distract from that. As we would, condemn any form of violence,
Right.
but we have to accept the fact that we as a country have degenerated into a place where women are still and continue to be abused and
Mm.
even murdered on a daily basis.
Sure.
And this is a serious situation, because, to strike a woman is to strike a rock,
Yes.
Bogota
As I would say,
in Zulu.
watinda bafazi, watinda imbokodo.
That's
Yes.
right.
Mm.
So, when you strike a rock, you unsettle or destabilize a foundation,
Mm.
because, as the Bible would instruct us,
Mm.
build your house on a rock.
Right.
And if I may just give you little bit of an interpretation, that from the context of what we're talking about, so often we find that women are the foundation stones
Of
of
every
their home
and society.
and society, and
Mm.
they the bedrock on which our society is built on.
Sure.
And so we find
Sure.
that, Malungi, as Christians, yes, the Lord is the chief cornerstone, and the doctrine of the apostles are the foundations on which we build on.
Right.
But we
Right.
cannot take away the role that women has played as foundational, agents of the advancement of the kingdom of God,
Mm.
the development of their homes,
Mm.
the rearing of their children, instruction of their children. And so we find that, love never hurt anybody, love never killed anybody, love never steal from anybody.
Mm.
It
Mm.
was
Mm.
cruel people who do that to each other. And unfortunately, women are very susceptible and open to love,
Right.
because of being highly emotional beings. They learn to trust again quickly, or they
Mm.
learn to
Mm.
give their heart quickly, even for that matter. And unfortunately, there's a cycle to violence.
Right.
And it is usually people or women that are caught up in one aspect of violence will begin a cycle. And if not attended to, if they don't know the signs of all of these things, then unfortunately they get stuck in that.
Mm.
So today we want to talk a little bit about that. We spoke about the etiology of it,
Yes.
where it started from and what gives rise to it. And we spoke about anger management issues.
Mm.
Whenever you encounter anger in a home, there's going to be some form of domestic violence. Jealousy is a big thing, as we speak about in marriage.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
a mature person will understand that jealousy is not your partner's problem. So we should stop taking it out on our spouse, but we should go to God to deal with it.
Mm.
Uh,
Especially in a Christian home.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Low self-esteem. You will be amazed. In fact, I want to talk about that to a certain degree, because the low self-esteem is a major cause of conflict in relationships,
Mm.
because they interpret everything personally, and they interpret it usually from a very negative perspective. And when you find that they interpret it from a negative perspective, almost always are going to get somebody who's going to say, "But you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you," and it's going to escalate into a conflict and perhaps into violence. I think in South Africa we suffer a major self-esteem issue problem.
Mm.
I think that the low self-esteem is seen in a way, because if a person with low self-esteem, you'll find that they will change their behavior, they'll change the way they talk to suit the situation, right? Or they live in a bit of a delusional kind of, or an alter ego kind of life, where they change their clothing, they talk differently.
Mm.
They will probably want to go to a church that will suit their deluded or their delusions, so that they can try to mask the inferiority.
More like a double personality kind of thing.
Kind of like that, but it's more like suppressing some stuff,
Mm.
but
Mm.
presenting in a certain manner that makes you want to think that, oh, these are the la-di-da people, and they are up there. Why? Because of the fact that the associations with church, and the way they dress, and all of those things, the way they talk for that matter. So too much of it has been seen through the years,
Mm.
where accent changes, and they copy what we've been fed to be the better.
All right.
And I don't want to dig too much into that, and go into a place that's going to create some problem. But the fact of the matter is, one needs to understand any form of low self-esteem will play out within the relationships that could possibly create a conflict situation that might escalate into domestic violence.
Mm.
So those are things. Cultural beliefs, which we spoke about. Man, you know what? In South Africa, again, we are a melting pot. The Rainbow Nation, wonderful, but the fact of we are a melting pot of cultures, and we've got
Yeah.
the Indian, we've got the colored, we've got the Zulu, Xhosa.
Vendor.
Yeah, within the Indian community, you got the Tamilians, you got the Telugu people, you've got the Hindi people, and all of that. Now, those are cultural things, but they can become Christians. So,
Mm.
they're not
Mm.
throwing away
Mm.
some of
Mm.
the cultural aspects of it. And so some of those habits are brought into our homes. So, I mean, you can take a person who is a Hindi person who will marry a Tamil person and be vastly different in how they do things. The money value system is different. Their habits are different because they've been raised in so different homes.
Right.
So this can then start to create problems.
Mm.
And so cultural diversity, as good as it can be in accepting it, if one is not prepared for accepting the fact that, what, we can be different, we can disagree, but still
Agree. Disagree
agree,
to
love,
agree.
and do
Mm.
things right.
Right.
So the cultural aspect is the personality disorder factors, psychological conditions, and so on are major factors. I'm telling you this. If you've got a person who's ADHD in your home.
Right.
You got a person who's probably bipolar and at worst schizophrenic. I'm telling you, you are going to encounter some of the most, I mean, intense fights. You're going to think that you are going off your head simply because you're
Mm.
trying to cope with a person who feels that there's nothing wrong with them. You can see the impact on their behavior and their relationships, but in so doing, they would not accept the fact that they need help.
Mm.
But it flows over and presents as conflict within relationships. So psychological conditions, we don't want to accept it. The fact of the matter is nobody like to accept something like that,
Right. Right.
but the reality it is existing. Take for instance a simple thing like depression or anxiety. That can create major conflict within relationships,
Mm.
because you with depression will come certain criteria, certain behavioral patterns, and these things can cause a partner to get frustrated, right? So there's no time to go into explain all of that right now, but the worst one, I think, in my opinion, which is really not dealt with properly, is alcohol and drugs or substance abuse.
Mm.
Malungi, it's coming up to December.
Mm.
We have 60 days of activism.
We are already in December, Doc.
Well, here we are. I'm talking, I should say, we're coming up to Christmas,
Yes.
right? And I mean, here we are. As much as, the police can say zero tolerance and all of those things,
Yes, here in South Africa.
you may keep the people off the road, but the violence within the family and the home, that becomes major.
Mm.
So any form of alcohol abuse, that's why the Bible is so clear about this. And the Bible tells us that, do not be drunk, because it leads to debauchery,
Yes.
right? So, the abuse of things, the excess is the things that really create the problems. So if you don't
Violence.
know how to control some stuff, you ought not to touch it. And keep in mind, your family is only as happy as the person next to you.
Mm.
If one family member is sad, is unhappy about your behavior, you bring a damper on the entire family. You mess up Christmas for everybody.
And you become the Christmas topic.
There you go. You bring embarrassment.
Mm.
And that's why we say on New Year's, don't wake up on the other side with regrets.
Mm.
So alcohol, substance abuse and stuff are major, major problem. I just want to talk quickly on some of the short-term effects of domestic violence, right?
Mm.
Number one, uh, with young children, do you have babies at home? Your children are going to really suffer on this one, right? You'll find that they will start to wet the bed. So bed wetting.
The little ones.
The little ones. No, but sometimes even it goes into, I have some clients who are teenagers and they're having that problem. So increased sensitivity and crying. If you find that your child is bedwetting, your child is, highly sensitive and starts to cry quickly, uh, difficulty sleeping or falling asleep, where you find that the child has very restless sleep patterns and gets physical things, but the child really has no interest because the mind is so preoccupied
Sure.
and so stressed out due to the situation in the
that
home.
is going on at home.
That's right.
Mm.
You'll find that they start to lose, where they were achieving higher grades, there's a drop in their grades, so they don't do too well there. They actually feel guilty. This is so sad when you have a child that actually feels guilty and blames themselves for the abuse happening to them.
Mm. Oh,
So,
to the...
yeah. So they tend to say that, listen, maybe it's me. Maybe I should not have been born. Maybe they didn't want me around. Maybe the fact that, I'm in their face, they just can't stand me. And this is the reason why, they are fighting. And that's why the person is angry in the home. That's why the mother is beating up things and the father is breaking things, because of the fact that I'm the cause here.
Sure.
All right. Also, your child might present with physical signs like headaches, stomach aches, diarrhea, constantly getting the flu, because what happens is you find that when the child starts to get those things, you know that the immune system is low, and the
Yes.
immune system should not be low for a child. If it is, there must be something going on, and usually it could just be stress. So many children are now being diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and it's all due to dysfunctional homes. Last thing to close off this morning on, if you have teenagers, you need to pay careful attention to them, because they start to act in negative ways, where they bunk school,
Mm.
uh, they get into fights, not just with the family members but also outside. So they start to project now, they start to take all what's here, and they start to behave like that on the
Outside.
outside.
Sure.
So how much of violence have we seen at schools,
And they
especially in
become
the beginning of the year?
they become bullies.
They become bullies, and they
Mm.
literally, you must understand, have you seen the intensity of the fights at school?
Yeah.
Malungi,
Very bad.
it's very, very bad. It's almost like they are possessed. The
Mm.
reason being is the fear and anxiety and the stress, the high cortisol levels that are at play due to the domestic violence, is projected onto the child that they are
Mm.
now encountering in a conflict. So you'll find that having low self-esteem, you'll find that they always ducking themselves. They don't want to
Mm.
be in public. They do very bad in speech and drama and things like that. And so they try to hide themselves a lot. They
Mm.
start to cover up a lot as
Sure.
well. So that could be a factor. Finding it difficult to make friends. So they're not going to make friends very easily.
Mm.
They absolutely not going to make friends easily. You find that they isolate, and depression isolates, and so they isolate, and they are constantly stuck in an internal world.
Mm.
Everything is happening on the inside. Teacher calls a child and say, Sarah, Sarah, no response, Sarah, and eventually the teacher gets frustrated and have to bang something to get the attention of the child.
Mm.
And the teacher thinks that this child is a rude child.
Meanwhile,
You're a
they
rude child, get out of my class.
mm.
But in fact, this child is locked in an internal world of conflict. This child might be trying to explain things to the parents in the head,
Mm.
trying to bring peace, trying to be a mediator. All of this internalizing creates for the child to isolate and seem like this child is detached from reality.
Mm.
Engaging in risky behaviors is the last one, and we'll close on that one. Engaging in risky behaviors such as alcohol, drugs, and sexual indiscretions.
Mm.
Now, let me talk about that. Your violence in your home could cause your daughter to prematurely fall pregnant.
Sure. Looking for attention elsewhere.
That's right. Your violence in your home could cause your son to rape a girl.
Mm.
Why? Why? It's simply because the child is looking for love,
Mm.
and they don't know how and what true love is.
Right.
So the interpretation of love, unfortunately,
Mm.
is one that is associated with violence, manipulation, anger, and jealousy.
And if it's not violence, it's not love.
That's right.
Sure. Why time flies when one is really discussing important issues.
Absolutely.
Someone is saying, I have a son or a daughter, and I am seeing some of these, what you call symptoms that you just shared. What can I do? Where can I take them for assistance?
The first thing you need to do is perhaps reach out to the ones that you trust the most.
Mm.
Try to talk to your child. And if your child is not going to open up, listen, there are multiple numbers that one can call. You can call Gender Based Violence Command Center at 0800 428 428, or the Gender Violence Helpline on 0800 150 150, or you can call us on 083 2088 101.
That number again, Doc?
083 2088 101. Get your child in. You might think that your child will not talk. I have multiple people that have said to me, Doc, I cannot bring my husband or I cannot bring my wife. You don't know about that. And I've had big burly men literally break down and weep like babies in the practice.
Mm.
People are always wanting help, Malungi. You just gotta have experts to get it out of them, to open
Mm.
up.
Expect. That's a good one.
So one needs to at least make that effort. Don't stop. Talk to your GP sometime, because might have a good relationship with your general practitioner, your doctor. Speak to him or her, and they might advise you on how. Because I have a lot of doctors in the Chatsworth, Phoenix, in fact, in the greater Durban area,
Right.
that refer their patients to me. I have
Mm.
many of them that come to me. So there's always help. I would rather listen to your story than read your obituary.
Mm, mm, mm. That's a good one. We would rather listen to your story, Doc has just said, than read your obituary. So, in fact, if you are going through gender-based violence, always reach out to someone.
That's
If
right.
it's not your pastor, if it's not that neighbor, get to somebody. Dr. Lanka is right here and he deals with all these things. And of course, can call the number 0800 428 428. That number, the GBV
Helpline.
report helpline
Yeah.
is 0800 428 428. Or just call Dr. Lanka on 083.
2088 101, and we'll be happy to
To assist you.
direct you in the right path, to help.
Big thank you to Dr. Lanka. Until
You're
next week.
welcome.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Thanks,
It
Abby.
is 57
God bless.
after 11 on 101.5 FM. Time for me as well to love you and leave you. It's been a great morning. Until tomorrow, we'll meet again. Lady Z is already on standby. She'll be taking you from 12 to 3. Mina Malungi Myende Ndamukunda will be with you again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Let's go this way. Impactful conversations, informative truths that hit home.